How's it going, crew? This is Happy Days and welcome back to our Terraria Gridlocked challenge. In the Gridlocked challenge, our world is covered by a framework of grids, and every 50 gold coins I earn, I can choose one of them to unlock. Every 5 grids, the price goes up, so we'll need to plan our unlocks carefully. With all that said, let's get today's episode started. In our last episode, we expanded our base in the starter grid to get more NPCs to move in. We also increased our money generation by dedicating a second grid to our gem tree farm and upgraded it from rubies to diamonds. I also set up a basic mob farm in the cavern layer so we can farm all the new enemies for their loot. Finally, we defeated our first boss when we got the Eye of Cthulhu to spawn naturally. As always, I'll put a card with the playlist for this series on screen if you want to watch our adventure from the beginning. But first, a quick word from this video's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play RPG available on iOS, Android and PC, and I've been having a blast playing Raid myself, so let's take a look at what I've been up to. I began by picking my starter champion. They're all great choices to begin your journey in Raid, but I went with Kale as he has some awesome poison abilities that are really OP against the clan boss, which we'll take a look at soon. Raid has a full story-based campaign, which is a good place to level up your champions, earn some silver and artifacts, and learn about the lore of the game. One thing I'm really enjoying about Raid is that there's over 600 champions, and each of them have their own abilities and are useful in different areas of the game. While playing through the campaign and collecting champions, one of the first things I recommend you do is join a clan so you can challenge the daily clan boss to earn huge rewards. At first, I focused on awesome champions that had abilities to help battle the demon lords, such as my legendary support champion Nekmo Thar and HB based tank Jarek to help keep my team alive. I powered up my starter champion Kale to level 60, and alongside Frozen Banshee are my damage dealers, and to round out my team I have Apothecary who can help heal everyone on the team. I'm currently on Nightmare difficulty of the Demon Lord, and this team works well to keep everyone protected and buffed while dealing out tons of damage. It's currently Raid's 4th year anniversary, and to help celebrate you can use the promo code 4YearsRaid to get some great rewards for your account, including skill tomes, energy and more. Amazon Prime members, make sure you keep an eye out for the next drop with some powerful Savage gear too. Also, if you download Raid using my link in the description and pinned comment, you can get an awesome starter pack containing the epic champion Kellen the Shrike, 4 energy refills, 4 magic potions and 4 XP brews worth $30. A huge thanks again to Raid for sponsoring this video, and I hope you check it out, and I see you in game soon. We're starting off today's episode by upgrading our Platinum Axe to a War Axe of the Night using the Demonite bars we earn from the Eye of Cthulhu. With our new axe, I get to work harvesting both grids of our Diamond Gem Tree farm for some extra cash. Last episode, I asked you all what we should focus on next, and I got a lot of great suggestions, with some of the most popular ones being reaching the corruption and continuing downwards to the Underworld. Several of you also recommended exploring horizontally underground, and I agree. If I unlock a straight line of grids, I'll eventually have access to most of the major biomes, including the underground desert, tundra, jungle, and hopefully we'll locate the corruption and dungeon too. I sell all our diamonds, pushing our total money over 2 platinum, giving us the ability to unlock 2 grids straight away. After using our mining potion, I unlock the grid to the right of our mob farm, as while the underground desert is likely to the left of our farm, I need to fight the Eater of Worlds more than I need the underground desert loot at the moment. This grid is mostly full of stone, but I do find another spider cave and a life crystal, so we get another boost to our HP. I soon find the edge of the grid, and considering our main goal now is to find the corruption, I unlock it and keep exploring. This grid is also mostly full of stone, but after a while I see the background change as we've discovered the underground snow biome. Our luck continues as I keep exploring this grid as I see the faint purple glow of a demon altar. I'm out of cash to unlock new grids, so I make a second bed back at base and head to our diamond tree farm for our biggest grind yet. Up until now, I've been taking the time to fully explore each grid before moving on, but we're at the stage where unlocking the corruption, dungeon, jungle, and underworld, and the bosses in these biomes are going to give me way better upgrades than basic cavern layer loot. The bed allows me to rapidly advance time, which speeds up the rate our gem trees regrow. I'm guessing I'll need about 5 to 10 grids worth of platinum to find the corruption, so like if you're enjoying my pain, and I'll see you on the other side. A few hours later, I've collected a small pile of about 3,500 diamonds and almost 1k diamond acorns, which I happily sell to the merchant for over 15 platinum. After setting up a temporary spawn point and with plenty of platinum in our pockets, it's time to continue our quest for the corruption by unlocking the next grid. With our main goal currently to discover the corruption, I'm just having a quick look through each grid to grab any life crystals and treasure chests we can get our hands on. After setting another spawn point, the zoologist moves in, so I decide to upgrade our zombie arm to a leather whip. We could also consider farming snowflinks to get the Flink summoner armor to boost our Abigail's power even further. Many grids later, as I pick up another the life crystal, I soon discover a shadow orb. I hastily dig my way to it as it means we finally located the corruption biome. A few bombs later and the first orb explodes as we grab a musket for our troubles. After a trip back to base to visit the demolitionist for more rock relocating objects, I unlock the grid above us and use sticky bombs to slowly make my way upwards. Thankfully, it only takes a few bombs before we find a second shadow orb which drops a ball of hurt for a nice upgrade to our melee damage. We quickly reach the next grid and we've still got plenty of cash, so I unlock our 15th grid, which means the grid price is increased to 2 platinum coins each. After having a quick look around, I decide to keep unlocking grids above us as we know the dungeon is on this side of the world, having already discovered a snow biome. I explore the surface corruption, but as expected there's not much there except a few evenwood trees, but at least this will make it easier to find the dungeon entrance when we're ready to take on Skeletron. For our next step, I start to prepare a boss arena by widening out the ravines in the corruption. Before I spend too much time doing this, I'll see if one grid is enough space to fight the Eater of Worlds, but if we get stuck I can look at expanding our arena into more grids. Back at base, it's time to prepare for our next boss fight. I craft a demon bow and complete a set of platinum armor for a nice defensive boost. I also grab the usual buff potions from what we have available, making sure to get an archery potion that will be useful for this battle. After setting up a spawn point in our arena, I place a sticky bomb near the third shadow orb and get ready for the Eater of Worlds. In master mode, the Eater takes reduced damage from grenades, so I'll be relying on our new demon bow to help with this fight. The strategy is to focus on hitting the head, as the boss AI has a tendency to charge at you across platforms as each head is destroyed, allowing me to line up easy shots with my jester arrows for maximum damage. I also use my Shield of Cthulhu to charge into the boss's head, as the charge gives me immunity frames that allows me to block some of the contact damage from the boss. I stay patient and wait for the boss to line up with my platforms, and eventually we take it out. I immediately equip the Worm Scarf, which boosts our damage reduction, and while our buffs are still active, I blow up some more shadow orbs and fight a second Eater of Worlds. I use the same strategy again, and soon enough that boss falls too as we collect even more loot, and now it's time for some upgrades. That night a meteor shower is happening, which gives a chance for enchanted night crawlers to spawn. This is a nice opportunity to collect some more powerful bait, as eventually I'll need more buff potion fish. In the morning I can finally craft the nightmare pickaxe, which allows me to mine several new blocks including obsidian and hellstone ore. I also craft a set of shadow armor for a nice universal 15% critical strike chance to all my weapons, which is perfect timing as with over 200 HP and by smashing all those shadow orbs earlier, I've now met the criteria for a goblin army to spawn naturally. There's a 33% chance for the goblins to spawn each morning if the event hasn't yet been defeated in our world, so I simply sleep out in our surface bed and wait for it to begin. Soon enough we get the message the goblin army is approaching, and I summon Abigail and prepare for battle. Our nice open grids help spread the goblins out and stop me from getting overwhelmed, and the combination of our ball of hurt and range weapons keep them at bay nicely. Eventually the fighting erupts underground as the goblins seem to like my potion farm a lot, so I teach them to keep their hands off my Daybloom, and soon enough the goblins are defeated. With our new nightmare pickaxe I decide my next goal is to get to the Underworld, so I start by unlocking the next grid down in our elevator. If I can get to the Underworld I can start to mine hellstone ore, which unlocks some of the strongest weapons available to me at this stage of the game. Additionally, hellstone bars sell for 40 silver each, and I'll likely need to mine out each grid to make the Wall of Flesh arena so I can work on 2 goals at once. After exploring 2 more grids, we've run out of platinum again, so it's back for a few runs of our gem tree farm for even more cash. I noticed it was raining during my farming session, which gives me an opportunity to look for waterleaf that's blooming in our desert grid. Waterleaf is required for making obsidian skin potions, and while I have a few waterleaf in my potion chest already, having a renewable supply of materials is important in the Gridlock challenge. 4 full harvests of my gem tree farm later, I sell all my loot to the merchant and we make over 6 platinum, which hopefully will be enough to make it to the Underworld. I say hi to the arms dealer who's moved into my spawn point near the Underworld before unlocking our next grid below. After a quick look around, I keep digging downwards and find a patch of fire blossom, which is the last ingredient I need for obsidian skin potions. At the bottom of the grid, I find the top of a ruined house, which means one more grid and we've officially made it to the main area of the Underworld. I unlock our 20th grid, which means the cost of new grids is now 2.5 platinum each, but we've unlocked so many new farming opportunities, we should be okay. I explore the ruined house, grabbing all the loot by smashing the pots. There's even a shadow chest here too, which I might try to open later on. We get lucky as right at the bottom of the house there's a Hellforge, which I happily mine up as that unlocks several new crafting recipes, with the most important to us right now being hellstone bars. With the Underworld now unlocked, it's time to prepare for our next step. I visit the Dryad NPC who's moved into one of my spawn points to purchase some grass seeds and planter boxes. I'll make it look better later on, but I'll use the planter boxes to expand our potion farm and get our fire blossom growing. Next I'll make a mini mushroom farm near the surface. Mushrooms grow on grass blocks and only need 1 block of empty space to grow, so I can make a compact little farm using dirt blocks. I now have the resources to craft some obsidian skin potions, so I make as many as I can and get ready to mine up some hellstone ore. Returning to the Underworld, I start by blowing up the ruined house in my grid. I'm doing this to reduce the number of fire imps that can spawn, as I will constantly hurl fireballs at me whilst I'm mining if I don't try to block them from spawning. I managed to remove most of it, but the rest will be easier with my buffs on, so I use my obsidian skin potion and start mining. I still haven't figured out how I want to approach the wall of flesh battle or how many grids I'll need for it. That said, I'm gonna need lots of hellstone ore anyway, so I'll mine out most this grid as it'll make a good Underworld farm either way. It takes quite a while, but eventually I've got the grid mostly cleared out and plenty of hellstone ore to craft with. Before heading back to base, I drain some lava into a pool of water to mine up a bunch of obsidian, as I'm going to need plenty of it. Back at base, I place our new hellforge and craft a bunch of hellstone bars. I make a molten fury, the volcano sword, a molten ham axe, a lava-proof bug net, and a full set of molten armor. I'm gonna hold off on upgrading to the molten pickaxe, as it actually mines basic blocks slower than my nightmare pick does. Before I plan my next move, I think it's time to test out our new toys, so I return to the corruption to craft some boss summoning items. I've got enough materials for 1 worm food and tons of suspicious looking eyes. Our new volcano sword has a small area of effect attack, which is perfect against the Eater of Worlds, so I simply grapple in place to avoid being knocked around and start swinging. Although we're taking a fair bit of damage, we're destroying the segments so quickly the hearts they drop keep my HP from dropping too low. The next night, it's time to smash out some Eyes of Cthulhu. This boss tends to hover around the player, but my volcano still does the most damage if I just tank the hits and stop dodging. I even use this opportunity to harvest some of my trees, as while I'm swinging my new ham axe, the boss will run into my attacks for the ultimate efficiency. It takes a few nights to get through all the boss summons, but a few days later I have a bunch of loot to sell to the merchant. After selling all the items and opening all the treasure bags, I end up with just over 6 platinum, which means we've got more grids to unlock. Before I do though, we've got a big decision to make, and it all revolves around the best way to tackle the wall of flesh. We could try and reach the jungle to take on the queen bee to get the powerful bee weapons for a massive power boost. Alternately, we could fight Skeletron and then set up a mini dungeon farm and fish for gold lockboxes for dungeon loot. Or we could just take what we have now, unlock a few more grids and hope for the best. Let me know what you would do next and why in the comments below. And with that, we take a look at all the grids we've unlocked and progress we made in this episode. We unlocked a shortcut in the cavern layer that passes through the snow biome. We've set up a corruption arena with access to demon altars and the surface near the dungeon. And we've made our way to the Underworld and unlocked hellstone equipment. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more of our Gridlock challenge soon. And here's the most important part as always, you all stay happy and I'll see you soon. This is Happy Days signing out. See ya!